Elena's hands trembled as the bowl slipped from her fingers. She heard the lullaby in her nightmares. 3 years later, she still woke with smoke in her throat and her grandmother's Portuguese melody lodged in her chest, singing while Lisbon burned, while a child screamed in her arms, while her whole world ended in fire. She'd crossed an ocean to escape that song. Changed her name from Lina Santiago to Elena Santos. Dyed her honey-brown hair black. Learned to disappear into the careful choreography of carrying plates and avoiding eye contact in a Vancouver restaurant where dangerous men conducted business over dim sum and whispered threats. Then she served soup to table 7, and the silent little girl at the end hummed the first 3 notes of her grandmother's lullaby. Elena's vision blurred. The ceramic bowl tumbled in slow motion, broth splashing across polished wood. Around the private dining room, conversation stopped. 6 men in expensive suits turned to stare. But Elena saw only the child, dark eyes wide in a face that shouldn't exist, small fingers reaching across impossible years. The girl's scarred palms opened toward her. "Neo," Elena whispered in Portuguese, the language she'd sworn never to speak again. "This isn't possible." But the child kept reaching, kept humming that melody in a voice like broken glass, and Elena saw it written in every feature of her face. Her father's sharp Korean cheekbones, yes, but her mother's eyes. Her mother's mouth. Her mother's ghost staring out from a 6-year-old body. The fire hadn't let her go. The fire had found her. At the head of the table, Victor Kwan stood slowly. Elena had served him for 6 months without ever meeting his gaze. She knew what he was, everyone who worked at the Dragon Pearl knew. Money laundering disguised as import-export. Protection rackets. Gambling dens in 3 provinces. The kind of power that made police commissioners and city councilors return his calls within minutes. But now his face held something she'd never seen before. Not anger. "Maya," he said quietly. "Maya, baby, what are you doing?" The child ignored him. Her hum grew louder, more insistent. The lullaby her avu used to sing in Cape Verde before the family moved to Portugal, before everything changed, before the world learned that diplomats and their staff could burn just as easily as anyone else. Elena's knees buckled. She grabbed the edge of the table. "Who are you?" Victor's voice cut through the fog in her head. "No one," Elena managed. "I'm no one." "Liar." He moved around the table with predatory grace. "My daughter hasn't made a sound in 2 years. Hasn't touched another human being voluntarily in 873 days. But you walk in here and she..." His voice cracked. "How do you know that song?" Maya stood on her chair. Before anyone could react, she launched herself at Elena. Elena caught her on instinct, the same way she'd caught her 3 years ago when the embassy compound exploded. The same weight. The same desperate grip. The same terror vibrating through small bones. "Mama," Maya whispered against Elena's neck. The room went silent. Elena's world tilted. She felt every eye on her, felt Victor's shock radiating like heat, felt the weight of impossible recognition crushing her chest. This child shouldn't know her. Shouldn't remember. She'd been 3 years old, barely verbal, traumatized beyond speech. But she remembered. Somehow, impossibly, Maya remembered. "Everyone out," Victor said. His voice was soft, but 6 men scrambled for the door like their lives depended on it. Perhaps they did. The door clicked shut. Elena stood frozen, Maya clinging to her like she might disappear again. Victor circled them slowly, a shark scenting blood in the water. "Put her down," he said. "She won't let go." "I said put her down." Elena tried. Maya's grip tightened until her small fingers went white. A sound built in her throat, not words, just a keening animal noise that made Elena's heart crack open. "It's okay, pequeña," Elena whispered, falling back into Portuguese without thinking. "It's okay. I'm not going anywhere." The keening stopped. Maya's breathing slowed. Victor's eyes narrowed. "What did you just say to her?" "I told her I'm not going anywhere." "In Portuguese?" "Yes." "Why Portuguese?" Elena met his gaze for the first time in 6 months. "Because that's the language I used when I saved her life." The words hung in the air like smoke. Victor's face went through several expressions at once. disbelief, rage, calculation, and underneath it all, a desperate, aching need to understand. Lisbon, he said finally. The embassy attack. 3 years ago. Yes. You were there. I was her nanny. Victor's hand shot out and gripped her shoulder. Not violently, but firm enough that she couldn't escape even if Maya wasn't wrapped around her like a second skin. Her nanny died. The report said. The report lied. Elena's voice was steady now. She'd run for 3 years. She was done running. Or you lied to yourself. I don't know which. But I didn't die, Mr. Kwan. I just disappeared. Why? Because I failed. The words tasted like ash. Because I was supposed to protect both of them, and I only saved one. Victor's grip loosened. Both of them. Your wife, Isabella. Elena felt Maya tense against her. I tried to go back for her. The fire was too hot. The smoke too thick. I could barely see, could barely breathe, and Maya was screaming, and I had to choose. Her voice broke. I chose wrong. You chose my daughter. I chose to save one life instead of two. Victor stepped back. His face had gone carefully blank, the way powerful men's faces do when they're processing information that could destroy them. Isabella died in that fire. I know. They found her body. I know. Then why? He stopped. Stared at Maya, who had finally loosened her death grip enough to look at Elena's face with wonder. Why does my daughter call you Mama? Because I sang to her while we ran. Sang my grandmother's lullaby to keep her calm, to give her something to hold onto besides terror. I sang until my throat bled, until we were safe, until the medics took her from my arms. Elena's eyes burned. And then I ran. Couldn't face you. Couldn't face what I'd done. Couldn't. You saved her life. I let her mother die. You were a nanny. Not a soldier. Not a bodyguard. Victor's voice was rough. You were a 25-year-old woman in the middle of a terrorist attack, and you got my daughter out alive. That's not failure, Ms. Santos. That's a miracle. Elena had imagined this conversation 1,000 times in 3 years. Never once had she imagined forgiveness. Maya shifted in her arms, small hands cupping Elena's face. Mama, she said again, clearer this time. Then, looking at Victor, Papa. Victor's breath hitched. Yes, baby. I'm here. 2 mamas, Maya said slowly, as if testing words she'd forgotten how to use. Had 2 mamas. One went to the stars. One came back. Elena's vision blurred. She'd been so focused on her own guilt, her own escape, she hadn't considered what Maya might have carried all this time. What silence might have been protecting. Mr. Kwan, Elena started. Victor. Victor. I should go. This isn't, I shouldn't be here. You're not going anywhere. He pulled out his phone, typed rapidly. Dominic will cover your shifts. You're staying with Maya. I'm a waitress. I carry plates. I don't. You're whatever I need you to be. His eyes were hard now, businessman calculating assets. 10,000 a month. Livin'. Full benefits. All you have to do is help my daughter find her voice again. I can't. You already are. He gestured at Maya, who had relaxed completely in Elena's arms, humming softly. Look at her. She hasn't been this calm in 2 years. Elena looked. Saw peace on a small face that had only known terror. Felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders like a familiar coat. One condition, she said. Victor's eyebrow rose. You're in no position to negotiate. One condition, Elena repeated. If I stay, if I help her, you let me tell you the whole truth. About what? About Lisbon. About Isabella. About everything. Elena's voice dropped. Because there are things you don't know, Mr. Kwan. Things I need to tell you before. Before what? Elena looked at Maya, who had fallen asleep against her shoulder, breathing deep and even for what was probably the first time in months. Before the past catches up with all of us. Victor studied her for a long moment. Then he extended his hand. Deal. Elena shifted Maya's weight and shook it. His grip was firm, professional, and somewhere in the back of her mind, warning bells rang. She just made a deal with one of the most dangerous men in Vancouver. A man who could make her disappear with a phone call. A man whose daughter she'd failed to protect completely. But when Maya sighed in her sleep and murmured, "Mama," one more time, Elena knew she'd make the same choice again. The penthouse was everything Elena expected and nothing she'd prepared for. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Cole Harbor. Furniture that cost more than she'd earned in 5 years. A child's bedroom decorated like a fairy tale, untouched and perfect and utterly sterile. "She doesn't sleep here," Victor said, watching Elena's face. "She sleeps in my room. On the floor beside my bed. Won't stay in here alone." Elena set Maya down on the princess bed carefully. The child's eyes flew open immediately, panic flooding her features. "Shoo, pequeña. I'm right here." Elena sat beside her, started humming the lullaby. Maya's breathing slowed. "You're good with her," Victor said from the doorway. "I had practice." "How long were you her nanny?" 8 months. From the time she was 2 until, Elena stopped. "Until the fire." 8 months. Victor's voice was careful. "That's a long time to bond with a child." "She was easy to love." Past tense. Elena looked at him sharply. "She's still easy to love. I just didn't think I'd get the chance again." Victor moved into the room, sat in a chair designed for parents reading bedtime stories. "Tell me about that day." "Which part?" "All of it." So Elena told him. About the ordinary Tuesday that turned into nightmare. About the car bomb at the embassy gates, the secondary explosion in the building, the chaos of diplomats and staff running. About finding Maya in the playroom, screaming for her mother. About Isabella fighting through smoke to reach them, about the ceiling beam that fell. "She told me to run," Elena said quietly. Her last words were, "Take her and run." "So I did." Victor's jaw was tight. The investigators said the attack was coordinated. 3 different groups claiming responsibility. "I wouldn't know. I didn't wait for the investigation." Elena stroked Maya's hair, watching the child drift back to sleep. "I gave her to the medics, watched them put her in the ambulance, and then I walked away. Just like that. Just like that. Changed my name at a mission for displaced persons. Got papers saying I was Elena Santos, Brazilian immigrant. Took the first flight to Toronto, then Vancouver. Started over." "Why Vancouver?" "Because it's as far from Lisbon as I could get." Victor leaned back. "You know I could have found you if I'd looked." "I know. But I didn't look. Because I thought you were dead." His voice hardened. "Who told me you were dead, Elena?" "I don't know. Maybe the same people who told you Isabella's body was identified." "What's that supposed to mean?" Elena met his eyes. "How sure are you that your wife is actually dead?" The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. Victor stood slowly, every muscle tense. "I saw the report. I saw the death certificate. I saw." "A report can be faked. A death certificate can be bought. Did you see her body?" "The explosion, the fire, there wasn't much to." He stopped. "Why are you asking me this?" Elena pulled out her phone, pulled up a photograph she'd taken 2 months ago. Handed it to Victor. He stared at the screen. All color drained from his face. "Where did you get this?" "She found me first," Elena said quietly. 3 months after I got to Vancouver. Showed up at my apartment. I thought I was seeing a ghost." The photo showed a woman in her early 30s, walking with a slight limp, scar tissue visible on her left arm. But her face was unmistakable. Isabella Kwan, alive and searching. "This is impossible," Victor whispered. "That's what I said." "When was this taken?" 2 months ago. Coffee shop on Commercial Drive. Victor's hand shook. "You've been in contact with my wife for 2 months and you didn't tell me?" "She made me promise. Said she needed time." "Needed to be sure you wouldn't?" Elena stopped. "Wouldn't what?" "Take my daughter away from her?" Victor's voice rose. "She's been alive for 3 years and she never contacted me? Never tried to see Maya?" "She tried. You blocked her." "That's a lie." "Is it?" Elena kept her voice level. "Every legal avenue blocked. Every private investigator turned away. Every attempt to contact you met with silence or threats. She watched his face. Or did you think that was all coincidence? Victor sank back into the chair. Dominic. My head of security. He handles. His voice died. He handles threats to your family. And Isabella, showing up after being declared dead, claiming to be Maya's mother? That looked like a threat. So he handled it. I'll kill him. He was protecting you. Protecting Maya. How was he supposed to know she was real? Victor's hands clenched. Where is she? Where's Isabella? Safe house in Surrey. Waiting. Waiting for what? For me to tell you she's alive. For you to decide if you want to see her. Elena's voice softened. For you to decide if Maya gets her mother back. Victor looked at his sleeping daughter. She thinks you're her mother. I was never trying to replace Isabella. But you did. In Maya's mind, you're the one who saved her. You're the one who sang to her. He stopped. Does Isabella know? That Maya calls you Mama? Yes. And? She understands. She's grateful Maya had someone. Elena hesitated. She wants to meet you. Wants to explain. Wants. I don't care what she wants. Victor stood abruptly. She let me think she was dead for 3 years. Let me grieve. Let Maya. His voice broke. Do you know what the last 2 years have been like? Watching my daughter disappear into silence? Hiring specialists who couldn't help? Lying awake wondering if she'd ever speak again? Yes, Elena said simply. Because I was doing the same thing. Half a world away, wondering if she was okay. Wondering if I'd destroyed her by running. Victor turned to the window. Vancouver's lights spread out below them, beautiful and cold. Why did she survive and not contact me? You'll have to ask her that. I'm asking you. Elena stood, moved to stand beside him. She was in a coma for 2 months. Burns over 30% of her body. Broken ribs, collapsed lung, traumatic brain injury. When she woke up, she couldn't remember her own name. She watched his reflection in the glass. It took 6 months of rehab before she could walk. Another year before she could remember what happened. By then you'd moved. Changed your security. Built walls she couldn't climb. I was protecting Maya. From her own mother. From a ghost I thought I'd buried. They stood in silence. Below them, the city moved and breathed, oblivious to the small earthquake happening in this penthouse. What does she want? Victor asked finally. To see her daughter. To hold her. To sing her that lullaby one more time. And then what? She takes Maya and disappears? Accuses me of kidnapping? Uses this to destroy everything I've built. Elena turned to face him. She wants to co-parent. Wants Maya to have both of you. Wants to tell her the truth, that her mother didn't die, didn't abandon her, just couldn't find her way back. That's not true. I'm not hard to find. For a civilian with no resources and a brain injury? You're impossible to find. Elena's voice was gentle. Your wife isn't your enemy, Victor. She's just a mother who lost 3 years with her daughter. Victor looked at Maya, sleeping peacefully for the first time in months. What if seeing Isabella breaks her again? What if it's too much? What if it heals her? And what if it doesn't? What if I let Isabella back into our lives and it destroys what little stability Maya has? Then we deal with it. Together. Elena put a hand on his arm. But you can't make this decision alone. Maya deserves to know her mother is alive. She's 6 years old. She can't decide. She already has. She called me Mama because she needed one. But if her real mother is out there waiting, Elena stopped. Don't make the same choice I did. Don't pick one when you could have both. Victor was quiet for a long time. Then he pulled out his phone. Set up a meeting. Neutral location. Just the 3 of us first. And Maya? After. If it goes well, if Isabella is... He stopped. If she's really who you say she is. Elena nodded. There's one more thing. Of course there is. She's not the same woman you married. The injuries, the trauma, the lost years, they changed her. Just like they changed Maya. Just like they changed me. Victor's smile was bitter. I'm not the same man either. War changes everyone, Elena. Even the ones who survive. 3 days later, they met in a church. St. Andrew's, old stone and stained glass. The kind of neutral ground where even dangerous men remembered their mother's prayers. Elena arrived early with Victor. He was wound-tight, every muscle tense, scanning for threats that didn't exist. Or maybe they did. Maybe Isabella was the biggest threat he'd ever faced, not to his life, but to the careful fiction he'd built around his daughter's tragedy. "She's late," he said, checking his watch for the 5th time. "She's scared," Elena replied. "Give her time." "I've given her 3 years. You've given her nothing. You didn't even know she existed." The church door opened. Isabella Moreno Quan walked in, and time stuttered to a stop. She was thinner than Elena remembered. The limp was more pronounced. Scar tissue climbed her left arm like ivy, disappearing under the sleeve of her jacket. But her eyes were the same, warm brown, intelligent, carrying the weight of everything she'd survived. Victor made a sound like he'd been punched. Isabella stopped 10 feet away. "Hola, Victor." "You're real," he whispered. "I'm real." 3 years. 3 years, Isabella. "I know. That's all you have to say? You know." His voice rose, echoing in the empty church. "I mourned you. I told our daughter you were dead." He stopped. "Why?" Isabella moved closer, slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. "Because by the time I remembered who I was, you'd already moved on. Already built a life without me. Already. I never moved on. There's no one else. There's never been anyone else. I meant emotionally. You'd processed my death. Accepted it. Given Maya a story she could understand." Isabella's voice was steady, but Elena saw her hands shaking. "How was I supposed to come back from that? Show up and say, 'Surprise, I'm not actually dead, just broken?' You were supposed to trust me." "Tried. Your security chief threatened me. Said if I came near you or Maya again, he'd have me arrested for fraud." Victor's face darkened. "Dominic is fired." "Don't." "He was protecting you. Protecting Maya from someone claiming to be a dead woman." Isabella's voice broke. "He did his job. I'm the one who failed." "You didn't fail. You survived. Barely. And not in time to be the mother Maya needed." Elena had been silent, watching the two of them orbit each other like binary stars, too much gravity between them to escape but too much hurt to come together. Now she spoke quietly. "Maya needs both of you." Isabella's eyes found hers. "Has she asked about me?" "She doesn't remember you. Not consciously. But she hums the lullaby you used to sing. Reaches for things you used to give her. Looks for you in crowds. She thinks Elena is her mother," Victor said flatly. "I never claimed," Elena started. "I'm not blaming you. I'm stating facts. Maya calls you Mama. She trusts you. She's calm with you." Victor looked at Isabella. "She doesn't know you exist." Isabella's face crumpled. "Then why am I here?" "Because she deserves the truth," Elena said firmly. "Because she deserves to choose. She's 6 years old. She can't. She's 6 years old and she's been silent for 2 years because she couldn't process losing her mother. Because she's been carrying guilt and grief she's too young to understand." Elena's voice hardened. "You both lost 3 years. Don't lose any more." Silence filled the church. Outside, Vancouver carried on, traffic and rain and ordinary lives. Inside, 3 people stood at the edge of a decision that would reshape a child's world. "I want to see her," Isabella said finally. "I don't care if she doesn't remember me. I don't care if she's scared. I need to see my daughter." Victor looked at Elena. "Your professional opinion?" "I'm a waitress, not a therapist." "Your opinion." Elena took a breath. "Introduce them slowly. Let Maya lead. Don't force anything. And for God's sake, both of you, remember she's the one who matters here. Not your hurt. Not your guilt. Her." Victor nodded slowly. "Tomorrow. My penthouse. Just the 4 of us." 5, Elena corrected. "I should be there. For Maya." 5, Victor agreed. Isabella wiped her eyes. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. If this goes badly, it won't. You don't know that. I'm her mother. She'll remember. Somewhere deep down she'll remember. Elena hoped she was right. But she'd learned in the last 3 years that hope was a fragile thing, easily broken, hard to rebuild. They left the church separately. Victor first, then Isabella, then Elena. Like they were afraid to be seen together, afraid to make real what had been spoken in stone and shadow. Elena walked back to the penthouse through rain that felt like benediction. Or maybe judgment. She couldn't tell anymore. Maya was waiting in the living room with Dominic, who looked up when Elena entered and immediately knew he was fired. He was packed and gone within the hour, professional to the end. "Where Papa?" Maya asked. Her vocabulary was expanding daily, words returning like birds after winter. "Coming soon, pequeña." "He had a meeting." "With who?" Elena hesitated. Decided on truth. "With someone who loves you very much." "You." "Yes." "And someone else." "Who else?" "You'll meet her tomorrow." Maya's face scrunched up, processing. "Her? Lady?" "Yes, a lady." "Nice lady?" "Very nice." "The nicest." Elena pulled Maya into her lap. "She's been looking for you for a long time." "Why?" "Because she missed you." "Do I know her?" "You did. Before the fire." Elena took a breath. "Her name is Isabella. And tomorrow she's going to come visit." Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, "Mama?" Elena's heart broke. "There are different kinds of mamas, pequeña. I'm your mama Elena. And Isabella, she's your mama Isabella. Your first mama." "Two mamas?" "If you want. If you like her." Maya thought about this with the seriousness only small children can muster. "Two mamas. Like 2 cookies." Elena laughed through tears. "Yes, sweetheart. Exactly like 2 cookies." That night, Maya slept in her own bed for the first time in 2 years. Elena sat in the chair, watching her breathe, wondering if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life or the bravest choice. Morning came too fast and too slow. Victor returned at dawn, looking like he hadn't slept. He made coffee with shaking hands, burned toast, gave up and ordered pastries from a cafe that probably paid him protection money. "She'll be here at 10, he said. "I know." "What if Maya doesn't?" "She will." "You can't know that." "I can hope that." Victor looked at her. "When did you become the optimist?" "When I stopped running." At 9:50, Maya asked why they were dressed up. Why Papa was wearing cologne. Why Elena had put on a nice dress instead of her usual jeans. "We're having a visitor, remember? The nice lady." "Mama Isabella," Maya said carefully, testing the name. "That's right." "Why she want to see me?" "Because she loves you." "But she don't know me." "She knew you when you were very small. She's been looking for you ever since." The doorbell rang. Victor's hand froze on the way to the door. Elena saw him take 3 deep breaths, the way soldiers do before battle. Then he opened it. Isabella stood in the hallway, dressed simply, hair pulled back, empty hands because she'd probably debated bringing gifts and decided against it. She looked past Victor, straight at Maya. And Maya looked back. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Maya's hand crept into Elena's. "Pequeña," Isabella said softly. "Minha pequeña." "My little one." Maya tilted her head. "You talk like Mama Elena. We speak the same language. Portuguese." "From where you come?" "From far away. But I came back." Isabella's voice cracked. "I came back for you." "Why?" "Because I'm your mama. Your first mama. The one who," she stopped. "The one who couldn't keep you safe." Victor made a sound in his throat. "Isabella, she deserves honesty." Isabella knelt down, putting herself at Maya's eye level. "I was supposed to protect you, Maya. But I got hurt, and I couldn't, and someone else had to save you. Elena saved you. She's a hero." Maya looked at Elena. "You hero?" "No, sweetheart. I just did what anyone would do." "She is a hero," Isabella said firmly. "She ran through fire to save you. She sang to you. She kept you safe when I couldn't." Tears streamed down her face now. And I'm so grateful. So grateful you had her. But I never stopped looking for you. Not for one day. Not for 1 hour. I love you, Minhafilha. I always have. Maya was quiet, processing with that serious little face. Then she let go of Elena's hand and took one step toward Isabella. Then another. Isabella stayed still, barely breathing. Maya reached out and touched the scars on Isabella's arm. Fire hurt you? Yes. Fire hurt me too. She showed her own small scars, faded now but still visible. Mama Elena saved me. I know. She's wonderful. You my real mama? I'm one of your mamas. You get to choose who you love, Maya. You don't have to choose me. But you want me choose you? More than anything. But only if you want to. Maya looked back at Elena. Elena nodded encouragement. Maya looked at Victor, who was crying openly now. Then back at Isabella. Can I have 3? Maya asked. Mama Elena, Mama Isabella, and Papa? Isabella's laugh was half sob. Yes, baby. You can have 3. You can have as many people who love you as you want. Okay. Maya stepped into Isabella's arms. You smell like flowers. It's jasmine. Your favorite. You used to. Isabella's voice broke completely. She just held her daughter, rocking slightly, making small sobbing sounds while Maya patted her hair. Don't cry, Mama Isabella. Fire gone now. We safe. We're safe, Isabella agreed. We're all safe now. Victor crossed the room and wrapped his arms around both of them. Elena stayed back, giving them space, giving them this moment they'd been robbed of for 3 years. Maya looked up at her over Isabella's shoulder. Mama Elena, you come too. I don't think. Come. So Elena went. Let herself be pulled into this strange constellation of grief and love and survival. For people bound by fire and loss and the incredible resilience of one small girl who decided she could have 3 parents instead of 1. Thank you, Isabella whispered to her. Thank you for bringing her back to me. I didn't bring her back. She was never really gone. Thank you anyway. They stayed like that for a long time. Outside, rain turned to sun, the way it does in Vancouver, sudden shifts from dark to light, from grief to grace. Later, after Maya had fallen asleep between her 2 mothers on the couch, Victor pulled Elena aside. I owe you an apology, he said. For what? For thinking you were just a waitress. For not seeing what you'd sacrificed. For... You owe me nothing. I failed Isabella. This is just making amends. You didn't fail anyone. You made an impossible choice in an impossible situation. His voice was firm. And you've spent 3 years punishing yourself for being human. Elena looked at Maya, peaceful in sleep, one hand holding Isabella's, the other holding empty air where Elena used to sit. She doesn't need me anymore. Yes, she does. We all do. I'm not her mother. I was never her mother. I was just. You were exactly what she needed when she needed it. That makes you family. Victor's smile was tired but real. Unless you want to go back to serving soup and dodging questions? What are you offering? Say, help us figure this out. Be Maya's Mama Elena. Be part of this strange, broken, beautiful family we're building. I'm not qualified. Neither are any of us. We're all just making it up as we go. Elena looked at this man who'd terrified her for 6 months, who'd threatened and bargained and broken down crying in his own living room. What about your business? What about the danger? I'm out. Already started the process. Dominic will take over the legitimate operations. The rest, he shrugged. I burned it all down. Can't raise a daughter in that world. You're serious? I almost lost her twice. I'm not risking a 3rd time. Where will you go? Isabella has family in Perth. We're thinking Australia. Fresh start. Far from everything. Elena's chest tightened. That's good. That's really good. We want you to come with us. The words hung in the air. Elena stared at him. What? Maya needs stability. Needs familiar faces. You and Isabella, you're what keeps her grounded. Victor's voice was gentle. We're not asking you to be her nanny. We're asking you to be her family. Part of this strange experiment in co-parenting across continents and languages and trauma. I can't just uproot my life. What life? You said it yourself. You've been running for 3 years. Maybe it's time to stop running and start building. Elena looked at Maya again. Saw Isabella wake up, see her daughter sleeping, and smile with such pure joy it hurt to witness. Saw Victor's hand on Isabella's shoulder, tentative but warm. Saw a family reassembling itself from broken pieces. I need to think about it, she said. Take all the time you need. We're not leaving for a few months. Got to settle things here first. But Elena knew her answer already. Had known it the moment Maya grabbed her wrist in that dining room. Some fires burn everything away. And some fires forge things stronger than they were before. 6 months later, a beach in Perth. Elena walked along the shore with Maya, collecting shells and sea glass. Behind them, Isabella and Victor sat on a blanket, watching the sun set over the Indian Ocean, arguing good-naturedly about where to hang the new family photos. Maya picked up a perfect spiral shell and handed it to Elena. For your collection, Mama Elena. Thank you, Pequeña. You happy here? Very happy. Are you? Yes. I have 3 people who love me. And we all safe from fire. She paused. Do you miss Vancouver? Sometimes. Do you? No. Too much rain. Here got sun. Elena laughed. Here's got sun. Yes. They walked in comfortable silence, this woman and this child, bound by fire and song and the strange alchemy of chosen family. Mama Elena? Yes. I glad you didn't die in the fire. Elena's throat tightened. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. And I glad Mama Isabella didn't die either. I know. We're all glad. And I glad you both my mamas. Because I love you both. We love you too. So much. Maya squeezed her hand. Come on. Race you back. And they ran through shallow water, kicking up spray, laughing like the fire had never happened. Like they'd always been this happy. Like families were simple things that came ready-made instead of complicated puzzles you assembled from broken pieces. Behind them, Isabella stood and waved. Victor lifted his camera, capturing this moment. 2 figures running through surf at sunset, connected by love that survived fire and distance and every reason to give up. Elena knew they'd face hard days ahead. New trauma didn't disappear just because you moved continents. New Maya would have questions and Isabella would have nightmares and Victor would struggle with leaving his empire behind. But right now, in this moment, they had sun and sand and each other. They had Maya's laughter and Isabella's smile and the knowledge that they'd all chosen this. Chosen each other. Chosen to build something new from ashes. The fire had found them. But they'd found each other. And sometimes that was enough. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the weight of Elena's choice or Isabella's pain or Maya's resilience, do me a favor, hit that like button. Let me know this story mattered to you. And if you want more stories like this, stories about families that don't fit the mold but work anyway, stories about healing and second chances and the impossible things love makes possible, subscribe. Join this community of people who believe broken things can be beautiful. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had to choose between 2 impossible options? Have you ever been the one who ran, or the one left behind, or the child caught in between? Your stories matter. Share them below. Because every story of survival, every story of coming home, every story of choosing love over fear, these stories change us. They remind us that we're not alone in our brokenness. That families come in all shapes. That sometimes the people who save us aren't the ones we expected. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing, like I do, that even the hardest stories can have hope at the end. Until next time, keep choosing love. Keep choosing each other. Keep believing that broken things can still be beautiful.